Hi, everybody. Today, our assignment is in your grammar and composition Roman numeral 4 book. We are going to do pages 175 through 178, all the exercises, but you'll find it's mostly text, very little exercises. So let's get started. Page 175, please turn to it. All right, we're going to begin work in the Glossary of Diction section in our book. The Glossary of Diction is a guide to help you choose the best word for your writing. The following labels are used. Standard, which is correct to use. We talked about this earlier. There's standard language. There's substandard, which is incorrect language. There's informal. It's standard but inappropriate for formal writing. And then there's formal, which is standard and appropriate for formal writing. Poor and better. Those are also things that we can label things. All right, so please note that as dictionaries have become more descriptive and less prescriptive, usage that has traditionally been unacceptable is now sometimes considered acceptable. This glossary of diction provides guidance according to traditionally accepted standards of usage and may differ from your dictionary. So this essentially is going to be a little more strict than a dictionary might be. Okay? Number 1. Add, ed, exam, lab, math, phone, quote. Avoid such abbreviated forms in formal writing. Use the full form of these words: advertisement, education, examination, laboratory, mathematics, telephone, and quotation. And you see some examples. You'll be notified by phone about the results of the exam, or you'll be notified by telephone. This one is correct. All right. Interesting. I just used this one, all right and all right. Use all right. There is no such word as all right. So eliminate this word from use. All right is the word you use. Amount, number. Amount is used with a mass of something which cannot be counted. Number is used with countable items. For example, I use this, amount is for coins, and amount would be for milk, and then number would be for coins. Substandard, large amount of eggs is needed for the recipe. Substandard meaning incorrect. Standard, a large amount of milk is needed for the recipe. Standard, a large number of eggs is needed for the recipe. So if you can count it, we use number. If you can't count it, we use amount. Anxious, eager. Anxious means to be filled with concern and to look forward to with dread. Eager means to look forward to with desire. So this is negative and eager is positive, and we have to make sure that we use the appropriate one. He's anxious about going to the dentist tomorrow. She's eagerly awaiting the spring concert. She wants to go to the concert. He does not necessarily want to go to the dentist, okay? Awful, awfully, terrible, terribly. These words should not be used as intensive modifiers to mean extremely or very. Okay, substandard or incorrect example is John seems awfully tired. All right, well, we don't want you using very much either, but awfully is not appropriate to use. And then standard, John seems extremely tired. There's a better example of something to use. Between you and I, and illiteracy for between you and me, because me is an objective case pronoun and between is a preposition. Me and you are both objects of prepositions, so me is appropriate. Between you and I has no place in literate writing or speech. Substandard, the new student will sit between you and I in chapel. The correct version of this is the new student will sit between you and me in chapel. And this is strictly a grammar issue. An objective case pronoun, it needs to be used because we're in it is the object of a preposition in a prepositional phrase. I mean, it's really not a special case. Let's look at this exercise together. We'll do the first one. You'll do the rest on your own. Cross out each error in diction and write the correct form above it. Afraid that she had missed a large amount of points on the terribly difficult biology exam. Well, the issue, word at issue is amount, because if you remember, amount is something that cannot be counted, and number is something that can. Can you count points? The answer is yes. So this should not be amount, it should be number. Like that. So you need to do 2, 3, and 4 of that exercise on your own. Let's turn the page to 175. A Glossary of Diction 2. The word bunch, an informal term when used to mean a small group of people. Seek a more precise word in formal writing. So don't say a bunch of tourists, say a group of tourists. Different than should be different from. Your answers are different than mine. That is not correct. Your answers are different from mine. That is correct. Disinterested is the appropriate term. Often confused with uninterested, which means not interested. Disinterested means neutral, unbiased, or impartial. So dis is neutral. Un is negative, okay? He seems uninterested in the plans for our vacation. A judge must remain disinterested during a trial. They're both legitimate words, but they need to be used in the appropriate way. Dis means neutral, un means negative. Enthused, an incorrect verb form not appropriate to writing or speech. Enthusiastic is the correct form. So this is just an example of an abbreviation, an inappropriate even abbreviation. It's not even a real word, and we're not supposed to use it. I'm enthusiastic about the new gymnasium. Etc. This Latin phrase meaning and others should be kept out of formal writing except for occasional use in footnotes. Here's the key. Footnotes. If it's not in a footnote, then you don't use it. If you use etc., do not use and before the phrase. And etc. is a redundancy. Et means and likewise. Several items, paper plates, napkins, travelware, etc., are needed for the picnic. Nope, formal. Items such as paper plates, napkins, and silverware are needed for the picnic. You do not want to use etc. for formal writing. Fix. This verb technically means to fasten or to make secure. When used to mean to prepare, fix is informal. His efforts to fix dinner were unsuccessful. That is not appropriate for formal writing. His efforts to prepare dinner were unsuccessful. That is appropriate for formal writing. Flaunt and flout. These are two legitimate words that need to be used correctly. Flaunt means to show off proudly, to make a great display of. Flout means to scorn or reject. She flaunted her new mink coat. No man can flout the laws of God and expect to find peace. Those are both legitimate ways of using the words properly, or proper ways. Let's look at exercise. The first item, cross out each error in diction and write the correct form above it. A good actor can assume a character whose personality is different than his own. A good actor can assume a character whose personality is different from his own. Well, let's look. Different than should be different from. A good actor can assume a character whose personality is different than his own. This should be from. Okay? And we found it right there on the same page. You finish the rest of those on your own, and we'll move on to the next page, page 177. Funny, the word funny. This word means humorous. It's informal when used to mean strange, odd, or peculiar. It's funny that the tornado didn't damage any houses. We don't want to do that in formal writing. It is odd that the tornado damaged no houses. Okay. Hopefully, this word means full of hope or in hopeful manner, but it is being used more and more to mean I hope. The careful writer will avoid such usage. So in an informal way, hopefully it will snow tomorrow, I suppose could be used in an informal way, but not in this class, not when you're writing formal writing, something to turn in here. The formal approach is I hope it snows tomorrow. Hopefully shouldn't be used to mean I hope. Okay, we're getting into some slang things here. Kind of versus sort of. These expressions are not verses, but the kind of and sort of. These expressions are informal when used as adverbs, meaning rather or somewhat. So you don't want to use them. The weather is kind of warm for this time of year. Let's see, the weather is somewhat would be a more appropriate use of the same idea. Kind of a, or sort of a. The A is redundant. What kind of a mineral is that? What kind of mineral is that? The of and the A are redundant, so don't do it. Lots, a lot. When used to mean many or a great amount, these expressions are informal. Informal. We saw a lot of meteors last night. We saw many meteors last night. Many is formal, a lot is informal. Mad, although this word once meant insane, that use is now considered outdated. Mad is used informally to mean angry or upset, but is rarely used in formal English. So just when you're writing a paper and you want to describe someone that is angry, don't say he's mad, say he's angry. Media and phenomena, they end in A, that's why they're grouped together. These plural forms, and these are plural forms and should be used with plural verbs. The singular form is medium and phenomenon. So in standard English, one natural phenomena is or that's substandard because there's one that means it would be phenomenon. Phenomena is plural, is the aurora borealis or northern lights. The one natural phenomenon is, yes, okay? And then myself. Myself, when this pronoun is used incorrectly for the pronouns I or me, it is in affectation, okay? Myself is correct when used intensively or reflexively. So let's look at this. Substandard. Mr. Smythe presented the trophies to Tom and myself. All right. So people use this, but it is not correct. They use it to try to sound smart, and it's actually just plain wrong. Mr. Smythe presented the trophies to Tom and me. An standard intensive for myself. I myself shook hands with the president. I treated myself to an ice cream cone. Intensive, which if you think about intensive, you can think about I'm very intense about explaining to you who I is. I myself. That's an intense statement. I myself shook hands with the president. And then I treated myself to an ice cream cone. I treated myself. This is reflexive. It's actually a direct object in this case. Okay. So let's do exercise, the first item, and then you can do the rest on your own. Cross out each error in diction and write the correct form above it. Hopefully, he will not be too angry when he finds out that the window was broken by Rodney and myself. Well, this is the thing right here. We are not supposed to use myself as the object of preposition, just like we're not supposed to use it here. We will say Tom and me. Cross that out. Okay? You guys can do 2 through 5 on your own, and we are turning to 178. At this point, I'd like for you to, I want you to circle the word on number 24 right now. Circle the word mean, so I know that you've gotten this far in the video, okay? Nauseated and nauseous. Nauseated means feeling nausea. Nauseous means causing nausea. So maybe to some people, Sushi is nauseous. It means it causes nausea in people. But after eating sushi, I felt nauseated, or I was nauseated after eating sushi. That's appropriate. Therefore, you say, he is nauseous. You're literally saying he makes people sick. So be careful in the way we use that. Nice. This word has many meanings: precise, pleasant, good-natured, pretty. It's a vague word that should be replaced in your writing with something more specific. Miss Gilman is a nice lady. You might use that as dialogue in a work of fiction, but not in formal writing. Better is Miss Gilman is a courteous lady, and that specifically tells you why you appreciate Miss Gilman, because nice is just a general, vague positive. Pretty. Pretty is overused as an adverb to mean moderately, somewhat, or fairly. So we don't want to do that. We don't want to say it's pretty cold outside. We want to say it's fairly cold outside. Fairly is the appropriate word. Pretty is not. The reason is because, avoid this expression, the reason is that instead. So the reason is not, don't say reason is because, say the reason is that. The reason he gave for being late was because his car broke down. Versus correct, the reason he gave for being late was that his car broke down, or he said that he was late because his car broke down. You can use because, but not after reason. Okay. I mean, essentially, it's a redundancy, because reason, the because. You've heard some children say that too. What's the because? What's the reason? The because is the reason, so you don't want to use them together. So is a vague conjunction which should be avoided between independent clauses. I love animals, comma, so I bought a dog. Nah. So should not be used in that way. It rained, so the game was canceled. Instead, you want to use because of the rain, the game was canceled. So should not be used by itself as an intensifying adverb either. It should be followed by a clause beginning with that. Example, this water is so clear. This water is so clear that I can easily see the bottom of the stream. So it is appropriate if you follow with the explanation for so. Tight. This word is not an adjective and should not come immediately before a noun in such expressions as what type of car is that? Use type of instead. Okay, so instead of what type car, I even said it the right way because out of habit. What type car is that? No, you say what type of car is that? So type of is appropriate. Wise. Used by writers of jargon to turn nouns into adverbs. Avoid such ungraceful terms as tax-wise, policy-wise, profit-wise, and production-wise. We get in the habit of doing that whenever we are, as you get a little more comfortable writing technical things, you don't want to add wise to something to turn it into an adverb. All right, and then so profit-wise, this corporation is in good shape is something to be avoided. This corporation enjoys healthy profits would be a more appropriate formal sentence. All right, so let's do the first one. Cross out each error in diction and write the correct form above it. The reason Nicholas feels nauseous is because he just finished eating a large onion and anchovy pizza. Okay, so we've got reason and nauseous are the potential issues here. We don't want to say reason is because, so that must not be a problem here because the reason, oh, well, actually it is. The reason is because. It says instead, the reason he gave for being late was that. So the reason was that, and then Nicholas feels nauseated, not nauseous. We have two issues here. In AU, S-E-A-T-E-D. The reason Nicholas feels nauseated was that he just finished eating a large onion and anchovy pizza. Let me check that one to make sure that we did it all appropriately. There is a problem, and we'll correct this. Is should not have been changed just because because this is present tense, and I had using was that because of the example, I was using the wrong tense. It's not past, it's present. Is that, which is fine. So the reason Nicholas feels nauseated is that he just finished eating a large onion and anchovy pizza, because he feels nauseated right now. It's not something that happened in the past. Okay, you finish the rest of those 2 through 6, and then when you're finished with those, you can turn that in. And that concludes the introduction for these 4 pages. I look forward to seeing your correct answers. And then at the end of the week, make sure that you check the due date on this one, please. This one has to be done before the end of the week, because on Friday, whenever I will activate Friday's assignment and close this one. So you have to finish this one before Friday. Do not wait. Get it done before Friday, or you will not get credit for it, because it will be closed on Thursday. All right. Thank you. Have a great day, and I will see you next time.